Coming up on the live and interactive ACSA Legislative Lunch Break, Edgar and I will get you all of your latest news and information from the state capitol and CDE with an in-depth analysis on how it impacts you. Plus, Senate Bill 98, the ICE on campus notification system. There's a lot of questions about how districts are going to implement this system. We've got two great educators on our show today to talk about what their district is doing.
The ACSA Legislative Lunch Break starts now.
And it's a couple of minutes after 1 o'clock. We welcome you on a Wednesday to the live and interactive ACSA Legislative Lunch Break, along with Dr. Edgar Zazwata, ACSA's Executive Director. I'm Naj and Edgar, ACSA's Senior Director of Marketing and Communications. Welcome. We are honored to have you back with us today. Go ahead and jump into the chat and say hello and let us know where you're watching from. Edgar, another big show today, but, you know, a very important topic. But I guess my first question is, how are you? How are things?
Yeah, good. I'm sorry. I think it was last week where I had to bail at the last second. And as we were talking backstage, we talk about our families and our kids here from time to time. My 11-year-old son is he's kind of grown up with this show since he was little when we first started it. He's 11 now, and I was just telling Michael Kelly backstage, I think everybody's seen probably like those social media clips from like doctors, and they say, what are the things you should avoid, or your parent, as parents. And one of them, I think that always comes up here recently, is stay off the e-bikes, and sure enough, I was telling them last week, I think it was in the morning, I saw one of those clips on social media, and then I get a call later that day that my son had fallen off his e-bike. So I had to, quick trip to urgent care to the hospital there. He's good. He's fine. He's just, 11-year-old injury. This happens with 11-year-old boys. But aside from that, all is good. The one thing reflecting on today's topic, Naj, and I know we were talking, it's just there continues to be questions out on the field. This is why we've been hitting this so hard on immigration. I hope, here's my own personal hope, that like there comes a day here soon that we're able, that this isn't like what's happening on the immigration front, what's happening with our students' families, that it isn't such a focus of the work. And unfortunately it has been. And, so we're trying to do our best here to respond to all those inquiries.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got two great educators coming on to the show today from Yucaipa-Calimesa Unified School District to talk about what their district is doing with respect to Senate Bill 98. Neri Pais is first on the chat today. Jesus Montana, our old friend Marie Russell, also on the chat today. So good to see all of you. Edgar, I do want to just go over a piece of breaking news that just dropped about 30 minutes ago. From the San Francisco Chronicle. More than 100 federal agents from multiple agencies are now heading to the Bay Area, San Francisco specifically, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. Sources are saying, according to this article, that federal agents will be stationed at the Coast Guard base in Alameda and will arrive as early as tomorrow. This follows a trend of the National Guard being deployed to assist immigration agents in cities like Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Memphis, and Portland. Governor Newsom has threatened to sue if the National Guard is sent to the Bay Area. So more on that. You missed last week's show, but we talked a little bit about this with our federal advocacy group, and that was the impact of this government shutdown and what it means for the federal special education programs. And now the Trump administration has announced that because of the shutdown, they would be laying off the Department of Education staff that works on special ed. That program directly impacts 7.5 million students. The administration is now looking to shift the program from the Department of Education to another department. That department, according to Newsweek, could be the Department of Health and Human Services. While no agreement has been reached, the U.S. Secretary of Education hinted during her Senate confirmation hearing, according to Newsweek, that moving some programs, including the $15 billion IDEA program, to DHS made a little bit more sense. Also want to let you know about a collaboration between ACSA and West Ed, and we hope you'll get involved in this. ACSA is working with West Ed on identifying new ways to address accountability, because the feedback we're receiving is that the current structures are preventing administrators from being in the classroom and implementing strategic plans for students and improvement success. So this next endeavor is titled Getting Down to the Facts 3. We've heard that title before. And we're looking for feedback on reporting and its successes and challenges. We're going to go ahead and put a link into the comments section. This is your opportunity to provide feedback on streamlining that process. Edgar, we hear so much about streamlining accountability and how the changes over the years at times make it more difficult for there to be productive data and productive strategies for students. This is something we've been hearing, and now our members have the opportunity to provide some feedback on that.
Yeah, this is something, a recurring theme, right? From the timing, how to best utilize it. With the new system, there was a promises made in terms of when we move to a new testing system of how this would work to inform instruction. So yeah, I know that the state has utilized this getting down to facts research structure, and it's actually had some impact in terms of reflecting and analyzing policy. So yeah, by all means, please take for those willing, jump in there, do the survey. It will help the broader perspectives that sometimes help change what they do here across the street in the Capitol.
Yeah, absolutely. That link is in the chat right now. Wait till after the show and then click that and provide your feedback. Let's go ahead and talk about our main topic now. Senate Bill 98 that was signed by the governor requires school districts to implement a notification system should ICE be on campus. And we have two educators that are on the show today to talk specifically about what their district is doing to implement this type of system and how they have come to decide this is the system that they'll be using. Callie Banks is the superintendent from Yucaipa-Calamasa Unified School District, and Lance Bradley is the communications and safety manager at the same district, Yucaipa-Calamasa Unified School District. So good to have both of you here on this show, this very important topic, because we know that the timeline between the signing by the governor and having this system in place by March 1, it's not a very long time. Callie, you and your team went right to the board with a plan outlining the procedures for how to handle SB 98. It outlines the confirmation system, the notification content, professional development, and training for staff. It's a robust outline. Tell us how you came up with this strategy and how did you get the board to buy in?
So I'll start, and thank you for having us, by the way. We really appreciate what you all do and happy to be here today. I have to go back to COVID, because during COVID, we learned so much about what it means to have the politics involved. It's a different job now than it was before. I've been doing this a long time. This is my 18th year. And so taking some lessons from that. So I want to just clarify that some of these things we have in place because Lance and I shared an office during COVID. I didn't have a PIO, and so he came on at that time. And so anybody who's new in their role, it might be a little bit different because you have to have things in place in order to be successful this way. And so we met with our parents first. We alleviated the fears that they might have. We used different channels to make sure we had the right people in the room to alleviate maybe some concerns and fears that they had and what would happen with their children. We encouraged different things for our parents to do to be proactive. And then we also we have a mantra since we started with COVID, and it was follow the law. Follow the law all the time. There is never a time that we should be breaking the law. But how do we do it to ensure that our students are protected and safe? And so as we did go straight to the board, and they were used to this kind of mantra that we do what's best for kids no matter what decision. So in putting together the plan that is robust, we kept that in mind, that the students come first, but then our frontline employees also have to be a part of that. And so we put it together, and when we took it to the board, it was the opportunity to share, this is like we've done before, this is how we're going to do business, this is how we've done business before, and this is what it will look like so that we can maintain safe and well maintained schools with the right kind of procedures in place to make sure disruptions don't occur at schools and in the classrooms.
Callie, Lance, thank you for taking time to help us with this conversation. Lance, this question for you. I know you like many of our members wearing multiple hats. I know, as Callie said, you have the communication job. I see also that you're the safety manager. So as we're talking about, these notifications, maybe tell us some of the specifics. Like what is the district actually using, and how did you as a district decide to go in that direction?
We use Parent Square for absolutely everything. More at the elementary level, we use Class Dojo, apps like that. But really, our parents are so used, and our employees are so used to getting emergency communications from Parent Square. Any closures we've had due to wildfires, or weather or internet outages, they're already used to seeing these messages. And so that's our plan, is to continue using Parent Square. And I'll actually send it out on our school's behalf. The last thing we wanted to do was add another thing to our principals or our front office staff. And so I made a really easy plug and play template that hits all the wickets of the law, and it's really easy for me to put it into Parent Square and hit send and immediately notify our parents and employees exactly how they want to be.
Folks, if you have questions for Callie or Lance, go ahead and put those into our chat section. Callie, is outlined in what you took to the board. The plan is for school site administrators to notify you or notify Lance, and then follow the internal safety protocols. This is the question I keep hearing from school communicators, from school leaders in California. What are districts supposed to say, or what are they going to say? So what specifics will your district be delivering when it sends out one of these notifications?
So I would like, if I could, now just take a little bit about what we will be doing with our school sites and why we want them to call us, because we want to protect their ability to protect everybody on their campus. We want them to have the freedom to not have to be burdened with the communication or to handle something on their own. I know that we've spoken with our site secretaries and our security on campus. I think there's a fear that they will have to take care of it on their own. So we have a plan for if they were to come to our school sites and what to do. And us being the people that they contact ensures, number one, that we're consistent. Number two, that we take the responsibility for how we would work with anybody who comes on our campus. We do this all the time with law enforcement. We do it with all kinds of different people that want to have access to our kids. And so what will we be communicating to them? We'll be telling them that we will be the ones that will talk to any agent that comes onto the campus, get the purpose, and these are the things that we have to have in place. And I know Lance is going to speak to that in a little more detail. I think that what's important is that every parent, every employee feels safe that we will handle it for them, and that their role is just to continue what they're doing with the students for that day. And with that, looking at what the laws are and the rules are, we will take that burden.
Lance, as Callie stated, kind of now some of the details in terms of, just like Naj asked, what is it that the actual notifications, what do you envision that stating? And then also I know that this hyperlink to the resources, including the district policies, the information about family and student rights, maybe if you expand upon that, about some of the thinking of including all of that information for folks.
I think it was really all about just following the law as it was stated, just like the communications struggles we kind of had in the past. The communication, I think, was the hardest part of this whole thing. Setting it up operationally and strategically with our team wasn't too bad, and really just taking the law at face value. But in the communication itself, it really is as required in California Education Code section 234.7, or in parentheses SB 98. This is immigration was on campus. This is where they were. This is what we think they were doing. It's either they were interviewing a student, or they were just there to have a presence. And then it basically just gives a reminder to students, you have the right to deny a search. You have the right to deny an interview until you consult with an attorney. And then it also links to our district website, which has all of our policies on there. And a lot of our families already know to use our Family Learning Center to access a lot of those resources. And it has that direct contact piece in there, which is an email it's contact_us, and it goes straight to myself and Callie. So, they get that direct contact that's required too.
Callie,
can I add one piece to that, Edgar?
Yeah.
I
Go
just
for it.
I just want to share that when you're talking about, so Lance talked about the nuts and bolts. I think as a superintendent, I have the mantle on my position to be respectful to everyone who comes to our schools. So the communication and the way we do business won't change. So if you're a sales rep coming from some kind of software company, we're going to treat you the same way. We're going to make sure that, we are respectful, but that we also do the job that we're supposed to do. So when we're looking at us handling it, the other piece is this doesn't have to be confrontational. We want to be a role model for our kids on how we do business.
Callie, I was going to ask you. Oh, it looks like. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, my video went out there. Sorry
Your
about
video
that.
went out, but we can hear you. It's like the
Okay,
radio.
as long
days.
as the voice is the most important thing for the question. So I'll go ahead and ask it. Callie, along those lines, I was going to almost take a step back. I know we've gotten some feedback from folks around the state. Hey, like, how much of an issue is this? And I know our state looks different. And in some areas, this whole issue about immigration enforcement is prevalent. Families are thinking about every day. It is a constant fear for folks. In some pieces, like, oh, we're not feeling it as much. So, with all of the attention from the state, obviously with this attention just at a policy and political level, just, give us a temperature of how are folks in the community feeling about just these bigger issues.
Well, so Lance is going to share a quick story with you, and then I'll respond.
Okay.
Yeah, so we haven't had. I used this example in our CalSPER group last week too, Naj. We happened to have, there was a retirement party in town. It was at one of the local restaurants, and one of the people that were invited was an immigration enforcement officer, and they showed up in their vehicle. And the minute that vehicle was spotted in town, it was all over Facebook. I was receiving texts. Callie was receiving texts. We were receiving phone calls, emails. It really just heightened the stress level for a lot of our families here in town.
So with that, we had a little trial run with it. And while it was just a retirement party, the rumors were just vast. They're coming to the high school next because the proximity to where they were was close to the high school. And so first talking with our administrators and our security team, making sure that, we're going to get the answer for you. We'll let you know. Us being in a place where we could respond quickly. So whatever we were doing, we left that and we made sure that we could respond quickly if that were to come to fruition. We had already had our meeting with our parents. And so they were also texting and saying, is there something we need to be aware of? And when we said to them, let us get the information first, and then we'll communicate back, they trusted us because we already had meetings in place of what would happen if there were ICE agents that came to our district. So we were able to vet out finally. We worked with our law enforcement partners and as well as the owner of the restaurant where they were, and we're able to vet out that it was just someone at a retirement party. But that gave us the opportunity to understand what that would look like in our community. And so as that died down, we ramped up what we were going to respond with and how we would conduct ourselves to make sure that we, like in any emergency that we have, a flood, a wind, a fire, we've had them all, that we would remain calm and that we would work as we always do. So it's consistent. People know what to expect.
We let Edgar come back onto the show rather than just be
Michael came to the rescue. Nobody saw it.
Yeah. I want to point out over in our chat section, we do have the document that Callie and Lance took to the board for Yucaipa Calamasa Unified School District. We have that on our ACSA Resource Hub, along with other immigration resources that you may use in your school district. So that's if you click that link, you'll be able to see all of that. I want to ask both of you, and Lance, I'll have you go first, and then Callie, I'll give you the last word on it. What's your biggest fear or challenge with implementing this notification system? And at the end of that, what brings you hope as you implement this notification system? Again, Lance, I'll have you start.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think my biggest fear is sort of twofold. So the last thing I want is for anything to detract from our students learning or our employees or students feeling safe while they're at school. And I think what can sort of detract from that is something like this. It's a law that we have to follow, and it becoming politicized, because we really have three different groups of people in our community that it's going to affect every time this message goes out. We're going to have one group that doesn't like the messaging that we're sending out, that we're sending it out at all. We have the other group that's going to be worrying about if a child's being affected by this, and then we have the other group on the totally other side that they're going to be worried if their child is being affected by this. So I think that's my biggest fear. But I think the hope here is we can continue to build our community relationships, and that this messaging might actually help, provide even more transparency to our community and to our family members, and allow us to build a greater relationship overall.
And Callie, your thoughts?
Boy, that was really good, Lance. But he's the PIO, and I'm not. I would say that, especially, I'll go back to where I started in the beginning. If you've been in your district for a while and you've built the relationships, you want to maintain them, and you want to take steps to make sure you maintain them. And my hope is that the foundation that we've had and the trust that we've built will carry us through anything that happens. And while some may be tougher issues than others, that they can rely on one thing: we're going to give them the truth. We're going to do our best to make sure that families and students are protected, and that learning occurs without fail. And so with that, then I think the challenge is that there's always a lot of noise out there. Social media is the great distractor, right? It also it causes a lot of misinformation to get out. And so as we approach these kinds of things, we remind parents, use Parent Square. We're going to use this for emergency communication. If you need to know anything, these are the numbers you call. And so the challenge is always getting, and Lance does a great job getting information out. We have a high rate of return with our parents logging in but being present. But we just want to make sure that we send the reminders, so that when we have a challenge that comes up in our area, no matter what it is, that every parent knows where they can get the right information, and they don't go to a different place to find the truth.
Callie Banks, Superintendent, Yucaipa-Calamasa Unified School District, and Lance Bradley, Communications and Safety Manager for Yucaipa-Calamasa Unified School District. Callie and Lance, it's been great having you here on the ACSA Legislative Lunch Break. We look forward to having you next time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. It's great being here.
Folks, want to remind you the immigration resources. You can get those, including what Yucaipa-Calamasa took to their board, what Callie and Lance took to their board. There is a link to the ACSA Resource Hub. And before we go, Edgar, I want to point something out about next week's show. Next week's show, we have Paul Mitchell on. He's the political data analyst who led the work on redrawing the congressional maps here for Proposition 50. This is not a political discussion. He is going to be discussing the strategy that went into redrawing the congressional lines and all of the research that it took to get us to that. So that is coming up on next Wednesday's live and interactive ACSA Legislative Lunch Break. Edgar, let me just go back to the discussion with Callie and Lance, because I think that they gave some really good procedures, really good strategies, just the insight into their thinking going all the way back to COVID. I think it's a framework for other districts that may be in that position right now, that they don't know how to move forward because they haven't been in this type of position. Did we lose Edgar, or is that just my audio? Hold on. Okay, try that now.
We're having some rookie challenges today. It's been a while. Hey, yeah, no, I think to your point, what I appreciated about the conversation is the practicality of it, right? Yeah. Now, we always hear about policy from Sacramento, and I would like to joke around. Sometimes there are ideas, some are better than others, but it's like, what is it actually going to look like in practice? And I appreciate Callie and Lance kind of giving us a picture, not only of what, the nuts and bolts were, but I also appreciated the why and why they're approaching it specifically. I love their answers about what is the most important, and let's keep the instruction, the safety of the kids at center, and also being realistic that any of these issues today have the potential to become politicized. So I think they're charting a good course, and hopefully something that could be learned from in other parts of the state.
Yeah, and want to point this out. Jason Engel, who's one of our loyal viewers here on the ACSA Legislative Lunch Break, he points out he's a parent in Callie's district, Yucaipa-Calamasa Unified School District, says, I trust her and her staff implicitly and do what is best for our kids. So a great message there from Jason Angle. Folks, want to remind you, ACSA Leadership Summit is coming your way November 6th through 8th in San Francisco. Going to be a great conference. Edgar, there's so much for educators at all levels. Take a look. ACSA Leadership Summit, November 6th through 8th in San Francisco. For more information and registration, go to ACSA.org/professional-learning. Edgar, I know that this is one of your favorite events, Leadership Summit. You promised you will be signing 8.5 by 11s while you're there, right?
Well, it's funny, Naj, because I think a Leadership Summit, and especially in San Francisco, and I always remember that we were in San Francisco I don't remember the year. It might have been 2022 or 21 or 22, where it was the first one after the pandemic, right? Yeah. The first time we were back in person. And I'm not going to lie, I had social overload because we hadn't interacted with that many people in years.
Yeah.
But it was the slight return to normalcy. So it'll be great to be back in a great city here a few years later. So I'm getting excited. It is one of our best events of the year. A little bit of everything for everybody. Still time to register. So if folks are considering it, we'll definitely encourage you to come and join us.
Yeah, don't miss out on that, folks. We already have 600 people that are going to the Leadership Summit, so don't miss out on that, folks. If you like what you've seen here on the ACSA Legislative Lunch Break, we invite you to join us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, follow us on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. It feels like a Monday. Folks, when you do subscribe to us on YouTube or like us on Facebook, have your notifications on because you'll get instant alerts when we're about to come on with breaking news or a preview of our regularly scheduled Wednesday show. And if you have great stories happening in your school community, we want to tell those stories too. Send in your talking points, your photos, and your news releases to Michelle Carl, our EdCal editor, mcarl@acsa.org. Folks, don't forget, Paul Mitchell, political data analyst, will be with us on next week's edition of the ACSA Legislative Lunch Break. Have a great rest of the day, rest of the week. We will see you 1 p.m. live and interactive next Wednesday. Have a great rest of the day.